I am exposing 5 things about Asheville, North Carolina that will surprise you. And stay tuned to the end of this video because there's going to be a super secret local tip that even the locals don't know about actually. Okay, let's get right into it. Asheville is a hub for all things wellness. We love our yoga, we love our transcendental meditation, we love all the meditations, we love mindfulness, we love the whole spiel. So did you know there's a whole area right north of downtown near Charlotte Street, in between Charlotte Street and Merriman, we can show a map on here, that is really centered on well-being and wellness in general. Well, I didn't for the first few years that I lived here, and it's kind of grown and expanded. So the Ayurvedic Institute has moved here not long ago and relocated a lot of people to the area. They also bought the Asheville Yoga Center, which is really one of our leading yoga centers when you think about the practice of yoga and asana. Nearby is also the Salt Cave, where you can go and be immersed all the way in a cave made of salt, which is supposed to have incredible healing properties. There is also Still Point Wellness down the way, and they have a way that you can float. It's like a zero gravity float that you can do, so you can be totally immersed in salt water, and it's really close to Asheville. So if you look behind me right here, that's downtown Asheville. You can see it. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. So if you wanted to live in this area in between Charlotte Street and Merriman, you would have absolute access to all these amenities of your choice. How cool would that be? And that's what we help people do, is really figure out what their interests are and what their needs are and unite them with a place that is the right fit for them. So feel free to reach out any of the ways below. So the big, huge breweries that really have been a defining factor in Asheville have not only kind of taken somewhat of a back seat in some of the locals' preferences, but with the emergence of distilleries and kava bars and tea shops, there's this whole alternative beverage scene that's happening underground here that people don't even talk about because it's not the forefront of thoughts here, especially when they're advertising out to the general public. So it's really cool because for people who don't drink like me, there are so many options when you go to a restaurant here besides alcohol, and they really make a concentrated effort to cater to people that don't drink or that have a certain intolerance to gluten with beer or something like that. So it's perfect. So in Asheville, we think a lot, it's Beer City, USA, right? Back in the day. But now, yes, awesome. Now it's not just beer. You're having people come in for all different reasons. What else?
Quite often I'll get people that come in and they say, I don't like beer. What do you have for me? Most of the breweries, you'll find a cider option, a seltzer option, some wine. Most of the time we have a Prosecco on draft. But yeah, you'll find a million different IPAs in this town. There's a whole sour concept called the Funkatorium. They like to bring their families to all of the breweries. So I'll get some little children in here, I'll get babies, I'll get dogs.
You know, even though it's Beer City, USA, there are people now that don't drink, like me. And there are people who want kombucha or ciders or alternative to beer, you know, and they just said that they have a Prosecco on tap, which is wild. I'm glad I didn't know that back in the day. So one of the things we really value in Asheville is the entrepreneurial spirit. And this transpires into all aspects of living here, because it's not just bring your own job, which I've mentioned before, but it's also just the general vibe of the area and what people are into. They're into creative things and artistic things, and there's galleries and studios everywhere. And not only are the artists involved in their own craft, but they typically have some sort of community involvement as well. Whether that's a project for the city or just coming together to work together on a larger artistic craft, you never know. But there's opportunity everywhere. And the more community that is built here, the better the environment for everyone. And it's something that we really value and we take into regard when we just live our everyday normal lives. So here I am on the backside of the Wedge, which is one of the oldest and more established places for artists to have studios. But if you look on the back side of this is a great example of how Asheville has evolved. This used to be nothing back here. I mean, we are on a railroad track. I think there's a railroad getting ready, a train getting ready to go by. This area really started out as a hub for artists because of its nitty-grittiness. I mean, this was where people could come to be themselves and to really express themselves in any way that they wanted to. And now it's become more popular, of course, but it is just one of the most authentic, real places in Asheville that I've found, where it didn't start with any sort of hidden agenda. It didn't start with tourism in mind. It started with what was needed locally in Asheville and then was built from the ground up. And here's another thing that locals know is that the shopping in Asheville is way different than it is in other cities. I mean, with the influence on art and keeping it local, we feature and support local artists every single day. It is the thriving heart of our community with events like the Big Crafty Festival, which is all local artists and craft makers, usually around a holiday, which is quite useful, to where we all are now at the Woolworth Walk, which features different galleries, like little mini galleries and studio spaces for artists. And one of my favorite things about this area and this Woolworth Art Walk, I'm cracking myself up because I can't say it, is the soda fountain. We should probably get a milkshake, don't you think? So we are going to go meet with my good girlfriend, Jenny Ferris, and she is a local graphic designer in town. And she's going to talk to us about how she incorporates her jobby job into the community and what it means to be a local artist in Asheville. To get to her studio, though, you have to walk up these really, really steep stairs, and I can do it. I'm not scared. Oh my gosh, this is a little intimidating. Can I do it? I can do it. Okay, so this is not the formal way to get up to her studio, but I'm kind of taking chances today because, hey, we're in Asheville, and that's what we do.
Danger's my middle name.
Ooh, pretty view. Let's check it out. So right over there is the river you can see underneath the bridge. This takes us from downtown to West Asheville, and we are in the River Arts District. See a lot of new construction happening over here. So in the future, you're going to be able to live right down in the heart of it all. And if you're looking to see where that place may be for you, then reach out to me. I do exactly that. I help people find the right location for them when they're thinking about moving to Asheville. Should we sneak up on her? Hello! So there's a lot of people who are attracted to Asheville because of its art scene and because they have an opportunity to make money with art. We have the people coming here. We have the infrastructure that supports it, and the city supports it as well. So, I mean, this Wedge Studios is a prime example of how people can make money, and these people are all doing their full-time gig as artists in Asheville. Jenny, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we get a lot of foot traffic at the Wedge. They have second Saturdays, which puts the volume of people coming through the studio goes up extremely. And there's a trolley that the Arts Council has that takes people from here to downtown. So the transportation is super easy. Parking is much easier down here. This building oozes art. Yeah. If you're gonna make art, being in the River Arts District is creative. It's just a really creative place.
So what I really like about you is that your job is your jobby job, but also your undertone of everything is of an artist.
Yeah, I mean, people hire me because they want logos for their business. They want a brand, but they also want illustrations for their merchandise, or I don't know. My work as a graphic designer is highly collaborative, whereas a painter, you just pick out what you're going to paint and paint whatever you want.
Yeah, and there's a lot of freedom in that. And how do you find the community supports you here in Asheville?
Well, I've been here for a really long time, so I have lots of connections, and this is not a big city. We're small, so you can get to know people very quickly.
Do you have a lot of artist friends?
Yeah, a ton. Since moving into the Wedge, I'm just getting to know so many more artists quickly, because it's a small town and everyone knows somebody that knows somebody.
And how many of your friends would you say are entrepreneurs versus having a 9-to-5?
Half and half. I like people who are working for themselves. I feel like you can make a living here. I also think it's really hard to make a living here. So if you can bring a job with you, I recommend that.
I've said that many times before. So you'll find too in Asheville that artists don't just individually work for themselves. They get together to collaborate on larger community projects. And Jenny's
Like
been
this,
a lot
by
of.
the way.
Oh, what is this?
This is a bunch of clay artists.
Oh, so they've
And
all
they-
come together in one space.
Yeah, and they take turns doing the retail.
Okay, so that's a wonderful example of how Asheville kind of comes together in a community effort to get the job done, because sometimes studio space can be really expensive. This is your official Bohemian Hooligan of Asheville. Voila! There's a lot of importance placed on the quality of life in Asheville. So that means either living to your full potential in making a living doing what you really love to do, or perhaps you're doing a day job and on the side and in the evenings you are brewing something or doing something that fulfills you. There's a lot of very passionate people here who are living their dreams, and it's a value that a lot of us hold pretty sacred here. It's not necessarily how much money we make, but the quality of life that we have. And you'll find that when you meet people out, the first thing you don't talk about is what they do for a living. There's so many entrepreneurs in this town. It's really a big thing to make sure that you know what you're gonna do before you arrive, unless you're early retired, which is a lot of people here too. A lot of people, when they think about Asheville, North Carolina, they concentrate on the hiking and the nature and the abundance of outdoor opportunities. But really, there's so much in history and in architecture in this city. It is unbelievable. And it's not something that's the forefront of a lot of people's minds. Like, check out the Grove Arcade here. We're gonna go inside, and if you look up and around, you will see decades of beautiful wonder that has a history here in downtown Asheville and all around. Even the Grove Park Inn and the Biltmore Estate offer timeless beauty that you just don't find in other cities. All around town, you'll find these little hidden gems where you can hang out, have a cup of coffee, or relax in peace. One of these that I really like is called the Battery Park Book Exchange, where you can sit down. It's kind of like a library, but it has the ambiance of a champagne bar and a coffee shop. Here's one of my favorite local treats, is that there is a community garden in the heart of downtown. If you look behind me, this is called Elder and Sage, and it is community operated and owned and used. How fabulous is that? For people to care so much about having fresh vegetables and in the process of growing them, that they make a community effort to have that happen. Okay, so here's a wonderful thing about living in Asheville. You have access to trails all over the city, and not just hiking trails, but there are greenways. There are vast areas that they have preserved that are just nature filled. And you can kind of hear the hustle and bustle right now of downtown Asheville, but it's not infiltrating this area. You can take nice leisurely strolls. Now, I'm not going to give you the exact location of where I am right now, but let's just say it's owned by UNCA, and it is a hop, skip, and a jump from downtown Asheville. And it's not a super secret because there's these other people here right now. But I tell you, every time I come out here, there's not a lot of people, and it is just surrounded with nature and goodness. So in Asheville, we really care about sustainability, and we care about efficiency when it comes to home building. So one of the top secrets that locals know here is that if you get an energy net zero home that is pretty new construction, you're not only gonna save a lot of money, but you're doing your part in contribution to preserving the world's resources. These homes behind me are all built by the same builders and are all net zero homes. And this one just went on the market right here. And what happens with a lot of these homes, they're so energy efficient that you don't end up having much of a utility bill at all. It's quite amazing. And the beautiful thing about these homes in particular is they are really close to everything. They're in between the River Arts District, and they back up to the Crown Plaza's golf course. So there's not a lot of action going on the back side of these homes. And there is a railroad track that goes through, but the train doesn't go by as much because it was mostly taking wood to the Canton paper mill, which has since been shut down. And there's some unique aspects to these homes too, where they have not finished out the basement. So you do have an option if you're purchasing the home to get the basement finished out or to leave it a blank slate to finish out for later, which is great if you want to add some square footage to your home. So let's talk a little bit about this house that I have behind me and why it's so incredible. So this was just recently finished. It's been on the market, maybe even not finished. It's been on the market for 14 days. It has 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and it is brand spanking new, total net zero home. That it has solar, mini splits, ventilator, all Energy Star appliances, all with 1,300 square feet in the heart of Asheville on 0.27 acres, overlooking a golf course. How much do you think it goes for? $565. That's right. That's a pretty screaming deal for a new build. So why is it important to talk about net zero homes in Asheville? Because it's a community standard. It's what people really value here. Sustainability, renewable resources, and not putting out more of a carbon footprint than we have to. We care about our earth, we care about our community, and we care about the people that live near us. And that's why it's really cool what they're doing here. I mean, there are many homes in this whole community that are net zero output. As we walk around Asheville, there's quite a few hidden treasures that even locals don't really know about. And one of those is the Peace Gardens. And this is right off Bryant Street. And the Peace Gardens have been a staple in West Asheville for years, but there are so many people that have no idea it even exists. And it's absolutely fabulous. It's a community urban garden where once a week they will come in during harvest season and get the bounty and bring it around to people in the neighborhood. The elders are people in need, and it is a wonderful resource and one of the most top secret assets in Asheville. Let's look around. So as you look around, you'll see there's not only gardens here, but there's a ton of art and there's a little bit of a theme too. It is a walk through Black history in Asheville, because in West Asheville, this used to be not as gentrified as it is now. You know, West Asheville wasn't known as the hipster area of Asheville. It used to be occupied by a large Black population that has since been moved out. And so this is one man's quest to make an urban space into a peaceful, loving environment that is supportive of all people and gives back to the community. It is unlike anything I've ever seen before, and this has got to be my top local secret.
And I know when we're fighting, all the things that we say, they don't hold any water. We forget the next day. They say love makes you crazy, but I need you around. Just be careful where you step, 'cause my heart's on the ground.
So in West Asheville, where it has changed so much over the years, this is one place that people can still come and feel at home and feel welcomed. So now that I've spilled the beans on the local top secrets of Asheville, if you want to learn more about what makes this city tick, click right up here and it'll take you there. We have a saying in Asheville, can't throw a rock without hitting a massage therapist, a yoga instructor, or a real estate agent. But hey, for you, there's only one real estate agent, you know?